What's good, everybody? It's the Cloud of Cab Show. What an NCAA tournament. The Sweet 16 is here. Shout out to Duke Blue Devils. I told you guys Duke's going to run it all the way. That's my team. Obviously, my bracket, looking back at it, it's busted by far. Duke is my only hope. You know, they got some ballers on the team, not to mention the legendary Coach K. You know, shout out to Picaro. I think that guy is a top 10 draft pick. 6'10", 250, 260. He plays like a point guard. I'm telling you what, Duke is legit. That's why I'm picking them to win. I mean, they made it to the Sweet 16. And what's crazy about Coach K and Duke, it's his 26th Sweet 16 appearance. That is insane, dude. Like that, you can just make that up. That is crazy. And Coach K, what a legend he is. So I'm rolling with Duke, my only hope. But we got to, not to mention Arizona. I think Arizona is probably the best team right now. And it really starts with Benedict Mathurin. He's a beast, dude. Mathurin, he is a dog, and I'm telling you what, he's a top 3 draft pick, NBA lottery draft pick, you name it. After watching him last night, what he did, being able to dunk, being able to hit big threes, being able to create for his teammates, dude, I'm telling you, dude, Benedict is no joke. This kid's a top 3 draft pick, in my opinion. He's got the talent. He's about 6'6", a shooting guard. He sometimes can play point guard. He can do it all, really. He really can, and he kind of reminds me a little of, like, Dwayne Wade in a way. It sounds crazy, Dwayne Wade, a Hall of Famer, but he's got a little version of D. Wade in him. But I'm telling you what, Arizona winning against TCU in that overtime game, that was huge, dude. So shout out to Benedict. I'm telling you, he's probably the best player right now. You know, him, and, you know, we got some other good players as well, but looking at it, man, you know, Arizona is probably the best team right now just from an eye test. But, you know, the biggest surprise of them all is definitely by far St. Peter's, a 15th seed. Now they're in the Sweet 16. They beat Kentucky in round 1. I think that is huge. I think that's big. St. Peter's, and a lot of people don't even know St. Peter's, they're based out of New Jersey. They're on the East Coast. These guys can play. And I think in the NCAA tournament, we have to understand that the big difference is the guard play. Yes, the bigs is a big game, but we have to understand that the game of basketball right now is more of a three-point shooting. It's just revolutionized like that. It just is. It's just how the game is played right now. Now, I'm not going to say, yeah, live and die by the 3 every single time, no. But, you know, we have to understand that St. Peter's, they got great guards. They got great guard play, and I think, you know what, they got the athletes to really run deep. And what I mean run deep is run to the Final Four, you know, or even the championship game. I mean, this is a Cinderella team, no doubt about it. Not any people heard of St. Peter's before like this happened. You know, we got to give a shout out to their coach, Coach Holloway. I mean, he knows what he's doing. You know, coaching against Calipari. I mean, that's no joke. We're talking Kentucky, a number 2 seed. No, I mean, St. Peter's is a number 15 seed. They're made it to the Sweet 16. They're playing Purdue. They got their hands full. I mean, Purdue, they play like how they play, right? Big man, big guys. You know, shout out to Purdue. Shout out to Matt Painter. I grew up 2 blocks away from Matt Painter. Yes, Matt Painter. What a dog. What a great coach he is. But I think the difference in Purdue is Jaden Ivey. He had 18 points last game. Look, I think he's an X factor. He's from South Bend. He's an Indiana boy. That he can ball out. Jaden Ivey, I'm telling you, he's their best player. And if he plays great, Purdue continues to win. Now, if Jaden Ivey has an off night, I think Purdue can get upset by St. Peter's. I think it's going to come down to what's the X factor in this matchup. And I think Purdue's big mans, they got to continue to ball out. They have to. They have to continue to show up. They have to continue to get those offensive rebounds. They have to. You know, if you guys want to beat St. Peter's, but I think St. Peter's, their backcourt is lethal, and that's a recipe for success in the NCAA tournament and during March Madness. So I think St. Peter's right now, man, I'm telling you, yes, they're huge underdogs, but they can play. You know, and this team kind of reminds me of the Florida Gulf Coast team back in 2013 when they ran deep. It kind of reminds me of that just that swagger, the way they play together. You know, their vibe to them, dude. I'm telling you, just the way they come together, the way they play defense, the way they hustle to the ball, the way they shoot, just everything about St. Peter's right now is just rolling. And I think Purdue, they have their hands full. I think if Purdue overlooks St. Peter's, I think Purdue's in for a long one, but I cannot wait for that matchup. That's really a coin flip matchup, so I can't wait. But not to mention another surprise in the NCAA tournament this year is Iowa State. We have to understand last year Iowa State was 2-22. 2-22. Now this year, They're in the Sweet 16. They ran it, dude. I'm telling you, I love this. I love these type of stories. I picked LSU to beat Iowa State in round one. I was totally wrong. They won that game. Then they beat Wisconsin. Let's give it up for Iowa State. I think they're the most disciplined team right now. When I say that is, it seems like they've been playing together for, their whole lives. All the way up to elementary, AAU, all the way up to D1. Now they're in the tournament. It feels like they're just playing together their whole life. They just know each other's games. They know their opponents. And I think Iowa State, they definitely can make some noise. They're going to match up against, shout out to the U, Miami Hurricanes. They beat Auburn, which I picked Auburn to run it mostly all the way, to the championship game. I was way off on that, but shout out to the Miami Hurricanes, man. Isaiah Wong, 21 points. They won 79-61, dude, against Auburn. It just wasn't a blowout. I'm telling you what, Miami, they have a complete team as well. They have athletes, and they have the recipe to make it to the Final Four, no doubt about it. I think, whoever wins the Iowa State-Miami game, I believe between them two, I think they can make it to the Final Four. I really do. I think Kansas this year is overrated. I really do. They had times where Creighton could have beat them. They had opportunities. Creighton didn't capitalize on it, but, shout out to Kansas and shout out to Providence. I should have known Providence was good, just that type of school they are, and the type of athletes they have, and the way they play. Big East team, they just have great competition, so I overlooked Providence. That was another pet peeve of mine that I went against, but, shout out to Providence. What a time. And then Villanova, Villanova, they got the big win, and I picked Villanova to run deep a little bit. But, another team I'm surprised, where I'm really not that surprised, is Michigan Wolverines. We look at Michigan this year, just their whole season, the way it transpired. The last, obviously Coach Juwan Howard getting suspended 5 games. Then he comes back. Then all of a sudden, Michigan now, they're in the Sweet 16. They're playing against Villanova. I cannot wait for this matchup. I really can't. I think Michigan right now, they have a lot going for them. Shout out to Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson, he's a beast. He's their big man for Michigan. I think he's their best player. He had 27 points. Shout out to Eli Brooks. He had 23 points for Michigan. Those two, they're going to have to play. They're going to have to, continue to put up crazy numbers, especially Hunter. He's going to have to score in the 25-plus, get at least 10-plus boards. He's a big guy, so I expect that. I just think Michigan right now, we tend to always hear Michigan. We go back to 2013. They made it to the championship game, lost to Louisville. They got the athletes. And I think, coaching-wise, what better coach than Juwan Howard? He's a champion as a player and as a coach, so I expect him to really run deep, and that's going to be a great game as well. But am I surprised about Michigan? No, I'm not, dude. I'm not. I think Coach Juwan Howard has them ready, and they got the players and the skill to do so I cannot wait for that. And then we had Illinois, Houston. Shout out to Houston. They got the dub. I picked Houston to run deep. Shout out to Taze Moore, 21 points for Houston. I think Houston and Arizona is going to be a heck of a matchup as well. We could even see an overtime game yet again between Houston and Arizona. Why do I say that? It's because they got the athletes. They got the front court to do it. They got the quickness, the ability to get to the East Coast to West Coast from back and forth. I think that this game's going to be probably one of the best games of the Sweet 16 is Houston versus Arizona. They just got the athletes to do it, so I cannot wait for that matchup. It's going to be great. Then we had Baylor, North Carolina, an overtime game. I just can't believe looking at this whole bracket and assuming that, North Carolina's an 8 seed. That is crazy to me. How is North Carolina an 8 seed? Yes, I get it. They were 24-9 in the regular season, but I thought North Carolina, at worst, should have been a 6 seed. An 8 seed? That's crazy. And I kind of feel bad for Baylor, but Baylor was down by 20-plus points in the second half, came back, went into overtime, and it looked like Baylor could have stole this one from North Carolina. It really was. But, North Carolina got the job done. And they're going to have a crazy matchup in the Sweet 16 against UCLA. And UCLA is another team. I would say Arizona, UCLA, and Duke are probably the top 3 teams right now that are very, very dangerous. That I would say that's a safe bet. I would say, throw a big bet on that. The parlays, yes, they can hit as well, but parlay bets are tough. They really are. But, parlay bet for the Sweet 16 this weekend, definitely, I'd probably go UCLA over North Carolina. I know that might sound crazy. It does. And then maybe even a little sleeper, Michigan over Villanova. Something like that, just to mix it up a little bit. But, hey, I can't wait. UCLA is legit. Notre Dame lost to Texas Tech. Notre Dame had opportunities. Yes, they weren't getting the right calls at some points. We saw Texas Tech player touch the rim first and then dunk it, kind of like helping them out. That should have been rim violation. It should have not accounted. We're talking a couple points here, and they were just taken away from Notre Dame. Notre Dame scores. I just think, I'm not going to blame the refs. Notre Dame did lose this game. They were up about a minute to go with 1 point up, and then they lose. They lose by 6 or 7. It was just bad, but Texas Tech, they have their hands full. They're playing against Duke, and Duke, I'm telling you what, right now, like I said, they're my team to run it all the way because of Coach K, because of their playmakers that they got. So I cannot wait, man. And Picaro, he's a dog, dude. He's a beast, and I think if he goes off, the sky's the limit for Duke. It really is. And then you got Keels. He's a beast as well. More of a role player, but he can fit into that. Hey, I'm gonna take over as well. I'm gonna hit big threes like he did this game. He's gonna do those type of things. So I can't wait for that matchup. Gonzaga, they barely beat Memphis. That was a tough one. I don't think Gonzaga's gonna win it. I think that's a little overblown. We saw Gonzaga last year in the championship game. They almost made history like the Indiana Hoosiers back in 1976 with Bob Knight going undefeated, winning the national championship. They came up short against Baylor last year. So, Gonzaga, they still have a redemption there. That's going to be interesting. But I think looking at the Sweet 16 coming up, dude, it's going to be great. I think they're all big games, right? They're all big games. But I think that one of the other big games, like I said before, is Purdue and St. Peter's. I think this is going to be a huge game. This could be an overtime game, just like the Arizona-Houston game. Could be an overtime game as well. So this is going to be interesting, dude. I cannot wait. This is great, right? The NCAA tournament is a time where, we don't hear of these type of schools like St. Peter's. We never really heard of St. Peter's before. Let's be honest here. Most people didn't unless you went to St. Peter's, unless you're from New Jersey. Then you're like, okay, I know these guys. But St. Peter's, they got to have a team, dude. They are legit. And I think, it's going to be crazy who comes out of that East region. I think whoever comes out of that East region can potentially win it all. It sounds crazy, but, we got UCLA, Purdue, St. Peter's, North Carolina. It's crazy, dude. It's amazing. This is March Madness. So many teams playing at once. So much is going on. So many bets are being thrown, live bets, parlay bets, just the whole 9 yards, right? During March Madness. It's great, but I think, like I said, the sleeper, most people had Kentucky over St. Peter's in round 1. And look at St. Peter's, the 15th seed. And we've been seeing this more recent in the past decade where the 15th seed actually upsets the number 2 seed. I mean, it happens. It's just the way it goes. But I think another, obviously St. Peter's is definitely the team that I'm most happy about. But, the second most happiest team I'm happy about is definitely Iowa State. Going 2-22. Last year to Sweet 16 this year, that's like never giving up, right? People who gave up in life would have been like, yeah, we're 2-22 this year. I'm done, dude. It's over with. We have no hope. And then that very next year, they're in the Sweet 16, dude. Fast forward a year later, never giving up. So shout out to Iowa State. I think Iowa State's the most battle-tested right now, and I think they can run deep as well. So this is the March Madness. Anything is possible. But, if I'm rooting for a team right now, obviously Iowa State and St. Peter's, I want to see them make it to the championship game, right? I mean, it's a long shot, but, we're talking, like 11 seed and 15 seeds running deep in the NCAA tournament. This is great for basketball. This is great for March Madness, and that's why so many people like it, dude. The underdogs are coming on top now. They're winning, and they're continuing to win. They're continuing to dominate the competition, so I think that's great. I cannot wait for the Sweet 16, baby. It's the March Madness. It's the Cloudwood Cab Show. Let's go!